Welcome to Farewell to Baba, a special remembrance of Kenya's beloved leader, Raila Odinga. On Sunday, October 19, 2025, at his ancestral home in Bondo, Siaya County, one of Africa's most enduring democratic figures was laid to rest. Today, we take you behind the scenes, from arrival through ceremony to final interment, honoring both the spectacle and the solemnity of the event. The body of Raila Odinga arrived in Kenya after a turbulent week of mourning. Thousands of supporters gathered at the airport in Nairobi, some even storming the perimeter in their grief and devotion. From Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, it was flown to Kisumu, landing at Kisumu International Airport ahead of the funeral proceedings. On Saturday afternoon, a military chopper carried his remains to his rural Opoda farm in Bondo, touching down to the accompaniment of wailing mourners on the landing strip. The scene, crowds draped in Kenyan flags, yellow and black, his party's colors, tears, ululations, and the occasional salute of the Kenya Defense Forces. It wasn't just a return home. It was the homecoming of Baba, a father figure in Kenyan politics. Sunday morning at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology in Bondo, the public service began early. Guests were seated from 7 a.m., dignitaries arriving from 8 a.m. Present were heads of state, opposition leaders, and the many thousands of Kenyans who came to say their final farewell. Among them, President William Ruto, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and international figures. The ceremony blended military protocol and Luo cultural reverence, a 17-gun salute, the national flag draped over the casket, hymns and prayers. In his son's voice, Raila Odinga Jr. said, "I've traveled halfway round the world with Baba's body. Now Baba is finally home." For many, the emotions were overwhelming. Thousands gathered in respectful silence and sorrow, yet also in celebration of a life lived for democracy. After the public service, the procession moved to the interment site at Kango Kajaramogi, on his family farm in Bondo. Here, among ancestral land and the shade of trees that bore witness to his roots, the final rites took place. A private ceremony for family and close dignitaries followed the public service. Military honors were rendered, drums of the Kenya Defense Forces, the 17-gun salute echoing across the rural landscape, and the Kenyan flag handed over to Mrs. Ida Odinga. In that moment, grief met tradition. From the ululation of mourners to the disciplined honor of the soldiers, the burial was not simply the end of a chapter, but the closing of an era. The crowds were immense. Thousands from across Kenya, especially Western Kenya, journeyed to Bondo. Some reports note that earlier viewings had tragic stampedes. 5 people died and hundreds were injured in the days prior. But on this final day, the mood was calmer, yet no less intense. People dressed in white, symbolic of celebration of life, and black, waving flags, chanting "Joey, Joey," his favorite slogan. A sense of history hung heavy in the air. Here lay a man who helped steer Kenya towards constitution reform in 2010, who fought for multi-party democracy, and whose legacy would ripple into future elections. As dusk fell on Opoda farm, quiet settled. The faithful lingered, paying homage, some whispering the promise of continuing his mission. And so the final farewell of Raila Odinga concluded. The man, the movement, the symbol, laid to rest in the land of his birth, surrounded by a nation that loved him fiercely. Today, we witnessed more than a burial. we witnessed the passing of an era in Kenyan politics, the solidarity of a people, and the enduring power of legacy. Thank you for joining Farewell to Baba. Until next time, remember, history doesn't end, it evolves.